disobeyed me, Shadow.
No one tells me what to do. I have my own reasons for collecting the Chaos Emeralds.
You really don't understand the situation here, do you? Perhaps Professor Gerald has done more to your memory than I imagined.
The Professor?
Strange that you don't remember your maker.
What'd you say?
Silence! The ramifications of your disobedience will be severe.
So you've noticed this is actually what the world map looks like. Every time you actually finish up the mutual mission, it'll take you to that specific stage, Glyphic Canyon, and then if you go to the dark mission, it goes up to the top, and then if you complete the hero mission, it'll take you to the bottom road. So you know.
Where am I? Whoa. I guess I underestimated his powers. There's definitely something going on out there. Now it's up to me to find out what they're up to.
Split out grass. So, hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, not Shadow the Hedgehog, because he's the only one who doesn't join with me throughout the majority of the commentary. But, anyways, though, and I'm of course from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, of course. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Shadow the Hedgehog for the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, and of course Xbox. So last time we actually did manage to completely done with every single missions in the forms of Wistopolis, even though despite the fact that I'm not going to be replaying at level 10 freaking times at this point, which is, you know, freaking ridiculous if you ask me, but either way. So today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be, excuse me. Today for this point, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be hit off to the second level in Shadow the Hedgehog, assuming we're able to actually just take the actual neutral pathway. That way, it actually leads us to the forms of Glyphic Canyon, which is basically a kind of canyon-themed level. So, now there are 3 different missions in this particular level, just like in Wistopolis. In fact, some of the later levels can able to actually hold up to like some stages, the majority of the stages actually, that sometimes it gives you like 3 sets of missions, whilst in some of these stages that we can able to get into in the next video, sometimes we actually hold up to 2 missions, because, well, because of the actual grid system of the forms of the stage selection screen, or in this case, you know, get to the actual linear pathway. It depends on what pathways you go to, like the, you know, the neutral road, or in this case, the actual dark mission, or in this case, the hero side mission. So, because this might actually be, if I'm not mistaken, this might actually be the first ever Sonic game, not counting the forms of the compilation games like Sonic Mega Collection Plus or anything like that. This is actually the first ever true main Sonic game to actually be rated in 12+, because the reason being for that, because they actually did manage to take a darker tone in the forms of like these gun soldiers managed to able to held out guns and chaos control. I always keep saying that because I always love to do that. Even though that the chaos control abilities can get pretty useless at times, unless if you want to able to go for this certain mandatory missions, if you want to able to go for this certain points throughout in the game. But I digress. Enough about that. I'll explain more on that later, because from now on, the reason why this game is being rated in 12+ in the UK, and as opposed to in the United States of America, this is also the first Sonic game for those of you guys who lived in North America. This game has been rated in, rated E10+. Means that it actually requires, well, let's get into the UK version first. I can assume that you need to able to actually become 12 years old or older than that to able to play this game. And if you guys lived in North America, you need to able to be 10 years old in order to actually just play this game. Because of the darker tone, as I mentioned earlier, and especially noticeable that they actually use the guns and all that stuff, and people attacking everybody. It even especially noticeable with black creatures as a whole here and now as well. But the main obvious point about the forms of the rating system is the fact that this is actually the first, and I believe the only Sonic game to actually feature a bad language. Well, if you think that Mario Party 7 for... Actually, I'll get into more details onto that, submissions.
Get rid of these annoying aliens.
There's an emerald somewhere in this wasteland.
Touch the glimmering jewel and reawaken our temple.
So anyways though, if you think that Mario Party 7 released in the UK was supposed to be originated by the forms of PEGI 12+, because of the actual swear word is actually included in the Grand Canal board that Tollsworth accidentally said that crafty bugger, but that was a little bit of a coincidence anyway. But anyways, this might be the only case with the forms of the only main Sonic game to actually feature the somewhat of a bad language. Because every time you actually get hit by enemies, and even if you lose rings, Shadow always says, "Damn it." And every time that if you manage to fall down to your death, Shadow always says, "Damn, not here." I'm not even kidding. That's what he says in the actual main game. It's odd.
I take orders from no one. I do as I decide.
So anyways, that's the neutral mission, but again, I'm going to be going through every single missions in the game, means every single stages in the game. So now we're going to be hit back to this level again and do the hero mission.
Hey, Shadow. You saw them too, didn't you? Those black creatures floating around here? Time to clean house and do a little exterminating. Those gun soldiers are done.
So anyways, the hero mission is basically the exact same mission that you've already done ever since in Wostopolis, except the fact that now you have to kill 60 black creatures. So yeah, this could be a little bit more of one of those moments in the forms of the actual missions themselves can get pretty out of place, and especially noticeable how tedious it was. In fact, some people seem to think that one of their favorite missions in the entire game is the neutral pathway, just because you simply just get to the goal ring and that's about it. Self-explanatory. That's how it works in the Sonic game for the most part, for some people out there. But for some reason they just always put up with the forms of, you know, just skipping over by the forms of the actual additional missions themselves. But I digress. So today was actually forms of the 6th of November, in this case in 2018. So we've only got ourselves, well, 6 more days to go into the forms of The Incredibles 2, at least the forms of the UK version of that film, is going to be coming out on the Blu-ray and DVD during the next 6 days. And I'm really looking forward to that, able to watch that film again, but I'm really hoping out the fact that I can able to actually watch the film properly, but that's just how I think it is. So, anyways though, I just cannot believe how the fact that the actual, development of the Sonic game like this, well, to be more specifically the Shadows game, that they actually did manage to include this strong language. Well, not so much the F word or the B word or even the S word or something like that, which I'm probably not going to mention about that, but they're always trying to go for these words like hell, and especially noticeable by the forms of I would say, you know, the most common word in the forms of the actual game, they're always trying to able to use that specific, you know, bad language and all that stuff. It always says dim and damn it, all that stuff. Which again, not even that kidding. Even Knuckles usually says that in the forms of let's just say he says damn, a dead end. I guess there's a chance that we can able to get into the tornado. If you accidentally hit the forms of the question mark indicators, you can see right there that not that one though, but the one says nearly towards the tornado, as you see at the very beginning, that he just says that line. So in fact, some of these characters actually says the damn word, which even then it seems pretty unnecessary for a Sonic game, but especially noticeable how the fact that this might actually be considered to be a Shadow the Hedgehog game, which appears to be somewhat of a spin-off game, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is actually going for here. But even then, though, that could be something to summarize it for that. So anyways, though, for Glyphic Cannon, it's alright of a level, but the only thing it kind of feels a little bit ruined by the forms of, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog, when it comes to the aesthetics and all that stuff. I just really think that the actual level design in this game just feels a bit too bleak, in my opinion. Even though it's not as jam-packed or colorful as it wants how it does in Sonic Heroes or Sonic Adventure 2, even especially noticeable in Sonic Adventure 1. Or kind of think about it though, this game does almost reminds me of the forms of the DreamWorks film back in 1998, even though it was now 20 years old right now, and has the forms of ants. That film also has the forms of some of these you know, bad language and all that stuff, like words like damn, or hell, or especially noticeable by the forms of like pretty much any kind of bad language they actually included on that film. So it's kind of like this game right here, except it's basically a Sonic game rather than a DreamWorks kind of thing. So, but that's how it usually goes when it comes to like differences here and there, or perhaps maybe this might be something related to that. So, but I digress. So, yeah, there's not much else you can really tell for this point, folks, other than that. So even then, though, that, yeah, as far as I've mentioned this before, that there are occasional moments about the level itself that can, normally that every single level always holds up by the forms of those special items you can able to get. Like, for instance, these little key icons. Basically, if you remember by the forms of the special stage keys, in the forms of ever since in Sonic Heroes, if you manage to grab a hold of that key, you can able to actually just keep that forever without even getting hit at least once, and that way it should transport you to the actual special stage. But the thing is about Shadow the Hedgehog this time around, though, is the fact that the Chaos Emeralds are still integrated to the plot, very similar to the forms of Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. But, except the fact that, well, normally most colors in the forms of the Chaos Emeralds will be on the exact same order. Like, every time you actually replay with Stopless, you always have to go through the green Chaos Emerald and a blue Chaos Emerald. And the third Chaos Emerald was actually forms of the yellow one. So, I can assuming, if I'm not mistaken here, that the actual colors of the forms of... Are you kidding me?
Not here.
Ah, dang it. See, there's another problem I have with the game itself. Sometimes the forms of the collision detection can get pretty screwy at times, mainly by the forms if you're running too fast, and then sometimes I always lose my footing for my certain intervals, and especially noticeable when it gets to the point whenever you're trying to able to go to a complete stop, or even if you're actually running way too fast at one form or another. Sometimes you're able to actually bounce off the forms of the ledge, and as a result, that always happened to me a lot. Even by the forms of some of the actual gamers out there, they're always trying to able to come across into that issue. So, unfortunately, though, there's no way I can able to get myself an A rank on that specific mission, and that's only because, you know, this game still utilizes the score system. And in order to actually get the highest rank in the game by the forms of the A rank, is that, you know, you can't afford to able to die at least once. So even then, though, you have to, like, keep on ranking your score points and all that stuff. So, yeah, that could be a little bit of a problem. Thankfully, though, getting the A rank in this game is actually very easy, in my opinion. But that's just how I think.
Their oppression cannot go unopposed.
So yes, the hero mission in few forms of Glyphic Canyon, and now we're moving on to the third and the final mission of the actual level, and that way we can deal with the dark mission. So the dark mission in the forms of Glyphic Canyon is the fact that, as you can see, Black Doom is still joining us once again. But this time around, though, we need to able to touch one of those little jewels, and every time you actually touch one, then something will activate will happen. So with even then, we need to activate about 5 of them. So even then, though, thankfully though, if you manage to stumble across for them and during the likes at the very early point of the game, let's just say if you're actually trying to go through the neutral mission or the, in this case, the hero mission. Thankfully though, these little jewels are very self-explanatory to able to find, and especially noticeable just trying to activate them, because they are pretty simple and easy to find though, assuming if you're able to actually slow things down every now and then for just about a few split seconds to react. But even then though, there's not much else you can really discuss upon, so yeah, there's not much I can really say. However though, I will say though, is that the music in this game is incredibly forgettable in my opinion, just because the only song I can only remember is the forms of Rostopoulos, only because of how the fact that, again, because you have to replay the Rostopoulos level 10 freaking times in order to actually see the real ending. But that's just how I think it is. I don't normally listen to the forms of this music as much compared to the forms of Rostopoulos and stuff like that, but I digress. So yeah, you probably realized about the fact that with the actual, the arrow sprites they actually did manage to use. The fact of the matter is though, is the fact that it depends on what missions you go through, like the forms of the hero mission and the dark mission. If you manage to go through the forms of the hero mission, then the blue arrow actually shows up in its corresponding areas. But then when you're trying to perform a dark mission, then the red arrow seems to exist. So and vice versa if you manage to able to go through later levels of the game. So, expecting so, then, you know, there's not much of a problem, or there's not much to discuss anyway, so, but I digress. So yeah, this mission's not too bad though, assuming you're able to actually just try to able to find them. In fact, it's actually way easier to find them, to be honest, other than the fact that, yeah, you know. And also I forgot to mention is the fact that, much like in Sonic Heroes, this game still utilizes the forms of the health bar system with the forms of most of the enemies in this most of the enemies of this game, and this is before when Sonic 06 also does that as well. But that's how I think it is. See, for then though, I guess there's not much else I can really say about this for this Glyphic Canyon. It's an alright level, but it's just that the actual aesthetics about the actual level itself just feels a bit bleak in my opinion, just because, well, there's not much more to it than that, because even though the colors can be a little bit drab at one point. But I digress. So I think I should probably end things off at this point right there. So yeah, join me next time on Let's Play Shadow the Hedgehog for the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. I believe we're going to be moving on to the next level, which we're still going to be doing the Stage 2 levels, which we're now going to be entering.
Now, let's see what really happens when this temple is awakened.
Which is digital circuits. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for that. Later, fellas.